right, welcome to Relatively Speaking 2020. My name is Rosemary. Today I'm here with Tribal Chief Yankee and Kiwi. If you'd like to introduce yourself, and we're coming at you with story time. Go ahead, Chief.
I am Tribal Chief Yankee. I am indigenous, and my love of stories came from my grandmother, who um, thought that it would be a way to pass on not only the tradition of my people, but also be a good way to teach in a way that everybody can connect with.
Awesome. And Miss Kiwi, where are you looking?
Hi, I'm from New Zealand, and I'm also known as grandma by a lot of them because of my age and my thoughts on a lot of different things that happen. So yeah, let's go ahead and have some stories.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure to be on with you, Rose.
Same here.
Yes,
First
and you,
time,
Chief.
but yeah.
Yeah, first time for me as well, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Nothing to be nervous about. We're just being here natural. And again, I believed we picked out the Chief series to start with for the stories.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, I am a published author. The book has been out since October 4th. It is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, pretty much every place where you could buy either a physical copy or you can get a digital copy on your phone or other device. It is Tales on the Winds of Time. So yeah, but to go on with your thing there, Rose, we did choose the Chiefs series. Hold on, I got to pull it up. Which is something that I wrote. I take my inspiration from the many stories from what I've read or heard throughout my life. So this is just something that I came up with. So this is The Chief. Our story is one that will soon be lost to the winds of time. It tells of a great chief who was renowned for his wisdom. He always made the right decision for the village even in the toughest of situations. But it has been said that one day a beautiful charming maiden appeared in the village. No one knew where this beautiful woman had come from, but it appeared that everyone seemed to have taken a liking to her. So it didn't come as a surprise when the chief sent word through one of his braves that the maiden was invited to the lodge of the chief. Seeing as Seeing as she had nowhere to lay her head that night, she gratefully accepted. It is also said that it was the next morning when things took a turn for the worst. For many in the village noticed the chief did not come to the village center and send his prayer for the people to the Creator, something he did every morning. He only sent word that all work was to stop to make ready many hands for the expansion of his lodge to accommodate himself and the new maiden. With this being done after many days, the village became the village came to disrepair, with everyone going hungry and thirsty. But the great chief saw nor heard any of this. For the maiden was in his ear, telling him the words of his people begging for food and water were the words of jealous, ungrateful people. So it was that after things began this way, and after many days, and no hope of things returning to what they were, members of the village began to leave. But as before, the chief took little notice till all but he and the maiden remained. And it was that day that the maiden revealed her true reason for coming to the village. She walks up to the chief, and in a voice as dark as night and as cold as the winter wind, she says to him, I come from a faraway village. Having heard of your renowned wisdom and decision making, I made a vow to Creator that I would be the one to show even the most wise and decisive can be led astray. With that, she walks the lodge, never to be seen again. As for the once great chief, all he had left of his once great village is the Grand Lodge, a shrine to the fact that he'd been so blinded by the charm of the maiden. To be continued.
Myself. I remember hearing a lot of that story. I think back in our old Discord, and I do
Yeah.
very much enjoy that one. And again, how I like how so we're talking about people being led astray, and it's more about how people are easily swayed by things like jealousy and greed. Um,
Uh,
and it's funny how leaving again, somebody is wanting to have that person there so much and not seeing where that comes from. It's like poison in a way to have that person in their village.
yeah.
Just promoting the toxicity and the negativity amongst all the rest of the people, to the point where nothing is done. The fields aren't planted, and people can end up going hungry. Because of one person that shows, that they want to be in command, to the detriment of everyone else.
It shows love is blind.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what they talk about in this. I think that what they talk about in the spiritual community is attachments in a way. When somebody, it kind of goes back to even, and I'll tie it to a Star Wars reference with
Yeah.
the beginning, where again you have Star Wars and it was Jedi were not supposed to have attachments because those attachments can create. Once you have something that you can lose, then you start to obsess on that object, and instead you end up losing everything else.
Uh,
You lose yourself by obsessing on that one particular object, whether that be a person or a place or a concept. And you don't, you fixate on it. It's kind of like a moth to a flame.
yeah. It also shows that even the most like honest and trustworthy person, if they get in the right situation, that they can be led to where they only care about their own needs or their own wants.
Yeah. It's a self centered type mentality instead of everybody else around them.
Yeah. Because the chief, the people were there, they were happy until that maiden showed up. And then once she was able to get him, isolate him basically, he saw them as just disposable and like, oh, well, we've been going on this happy little way for so long that really they should know what they need to do by now. And I shouldn't just have to tell them.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah, and it also goes to show just what one person, because they don't like the happiness and the that's going on in that village, and they set out deliberately to pull that chief down because she, just out of spite more than anything, because she knows that she can do it. She's got the charms, the allure, and she can do it. She just and that's what she wants.
Yeah.
It's sad that there are actually so many people in the world today that are of that opinion, and they keep trying to do this within every other people's lives, and so many people get hurt because of one person's spitefulness and greed, because she wanted everything that he had plus.
Yeah.
And then that brings down vibrations of the whole village, and it can be really, really hard to pick yourself up from situations like that to get back to where you were. It's a big, long, hard journey.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole saying, like, people say it takes a community to raise a child. It's in the same sense that that community took her in to, and the chief did though, but took her in to lay her head down. But how do you pay that back? By causing people to leave. And the chief again is obviously sitting there enamored with it, enamored with this individual, and not even realizing again that it's the community that makes him the chief. It's not if you're a chief of no one now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got nothing left to rule at the moment. It's all fallen apart.
Mm-hmm.
But to him, the only thing that he needed was the maiden and his grand lodge that she left him with, which you'll see. This is a series, so you'll see how his progression or how the village progresses
Did
in
you
the next two stories.
do you want to read the next one?
If you want, Rose, or
Yeah,
we can,
we have time.
because, well, yeah, obviously. But yeah. The next story in that this series, because it's a series of three. Most of my stories are three for some reason. But yeah. The next story is called The Traveling Hunter. Our story begins as most do, simply, of a tale that will soon be lost to the winds of time. It begins with a traveling hunter who had just emerged from a thicket of trees to find he is on the edge of a village in need of great repair. After pausing for a moment to take a drink from his water bag that was tied to his hip, he cautiously proceeds forward and finds himself in the middle of the village center after walking between a pair of long forgotten lodges. Again, pausing, he looks up and down the long forgotten path that appears to run the length of the village, which splits off into walkways for the lodges that make up the village. He sees a small lodge whose walkway isn't as overgrown as the rest, Mother Earth having not reclaimed that walkway, which intrigues him. So he begins to walk toward the small lodge to see why that walkway and the small lodge attached to it seem to be the only ones that aren't in need of any repair. As he approaches, an old woman opens the door to the lodge and beckons him forward, which he is within a few feet of her. When he is within a few feet of her, she says in a voice just above a whisper, "Come, grandson, come and sit a while and let grandmother feed you." With this, he follows her inside and takes a seat on one of the two stools in the lodge. He asks the old woman, "Grandmother, why are things in such disrepair here?" After a moment, she turns from the pot hanging above her cooking fire to face him, and again in a voice just above a whisper, "We were once a great village. That was until the days a mysterious maiden came to our village, and within days things began to go wrong. I came to stay when everyone else had gone." As he takes a sip from the carved wooden bowl of stew she had given him. "I grew up in this village. I've seen it from its birth to the days when we were considered one of the noblest of all villages in the area. I buried my husband here when he made his journey to Creator. I wasn't just going to leave because things got a little rough," she says. He nods in understanding. As he finishes the stew from the bowl, he stands and says, "Many thanks for the food, grandmother. I don't have much to give in return, but I do have a bundle of berries I picked while making my way through the woods this morning." He pulls the bundle from his pack at his feet and hands it to the old woman, who says, "It is no problem feeding you, grandson. Many thanks for the berries. They will make a welcome treat." After bidding goodbye to the old woman, he continues down the overgrown pathway until he comes to a grand lodge that makes him stop. He eyes the grand lodge that is as massive as it is spectacular. His steps carry him forward slowly until till he is feet from the front door, which is ajar. He slowly walks forward and pushes the door open and enters. Once inside, he notes the inside is not as well kept as the outside. And after taking a few more steps inside, he hears a voice. Come back to torment me some more, witch. To, to this, the young man steps forward and sees a man sitting in the middle of the lodge on what appears to be the only stool there. No, sir, I am not a witch. I am just a hunter who found your village while walking through the woods this morning, he says to the man. We were once a great village, the man mumbles. I see that everyone is left. Do you know why? The hunter asks. They left because I was blinded by the beauty and charm of a manipulative maiden who appeared in our village some time ago. But what is that to you? The man mumbles again. It has been 10 winters since I have seen my home village, so I thought I might ask how such a great village would come to such a pass, the hunter states. Well, when you do make it back to your home village, you will have a story to tell, a story of how you yourself met the once great chief who was tricked by the maiden and lost all but his grand lodge. Seeing there are no other words left to be spoken, the hunter says goodbye to the once great chief and leaves the lodge. For it is not his job to judge others for their choices, nor is it his job to give them guidance to try and fix them. Things were as they were, and that's how it would be. To be continued.